Bowling with the Fef.
Bowling with the Fef.
Are you ready?
Ready. Your bowling stories.
They found you.
They did.
Fef's all over.
Every week.
Bowling has picked back up again.
Live.
PW Whitewater.
There it is.
Why the fedora? Do I look good in it?
I think you look great in it.
I want to challenge Skylar Pence.
Mike Hatton.
I'm going to challenge Alec Keplinger.
Let's do this.
Roll 'em.
This is Bowling with the Fef.
Well, good Thursday evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bowling with the Fef. This is the finale of Season 5, I'm happy to say, and a good evening to all of you tuning in live and on replay as well. It's been a little while before since I should say, we've had one of our long-form interviews during the week. I definitely want to give a shout-out to Rob Francois, Johnny Petraglia Jr., Dr. Ocho for having me on their show last week. It was fun. We had a spirited conversation about urethane and bowling ball things and USBC things. It was really a fun time to be on their show and figure out kind of how they do things. And I really appreciate them having me on. You can check it out on the Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. channel. And, again, thanks to those guys for having a content creator like me on. They have a lot of pro bowlers on their show, and it was a pleasure to chop it up with those guys. It's really something to close out a season on a professional tour with the last two titles, especially when one of them is a major championship. And that's what Shannon Pluhowski did just now. She won both the PWBA Pepsi Open and the PWBA Tour Championship in Gates, New York. Pluhowski defeated Verity Crawley 235-167 to take her third major and sixth overall PBA Tour title on Tuesday, along with the $50,000 first prize. Also some awards that were handed out during that telecast. PWBA Player of the Year for the season was New Wee Fen. She won 3 times this season, including the U.S. Women's Open. PWBA Rookie of the Year was Jillian Lim. When it came to points, earnings, and top 12 finishes, she was tops among the rookies on tour. So a fantastic end to that season, and now kind of we go on to some of the regional events on the women's side of things. So best of luck with those for those who participate. BSJ83 says you got to have Dr. Ocho on your show soon. Hey, if he's willing to come on, bring it on. Yeah, I'd love to have him on. Boy, you talk about a mysterious, interesting character. I think Dr. Ocho, at least in the bowling space, has got to take the cake on that one, right? You never see his face. You don't know exactly who he is. He's got some strong opinions. That history in as a chiropractor and medical stuff. Fun things. But Dr. Ocho, if you're watching, we can do that. Obviously, there's some demand for it. So let's talk. In the meantime, you can always find official Bowling with the Fef merch at the Etsy store, etsy.com/shop/Bowling with the Fef Co. for hoodies and t-shirts. If you're in the Eau Claire, Wisconsin area, I hope you'll check out Jerry's Score More Bowling Supply inside Wagner's Lanes. You can call him at 715-559-1822. He's got everything you need for the sport of bowling. Bowling balls, accessories, high-level coaching. If you need it, Jerry has got it. Visionary Video Hub, video with impact plus live streaming, voiceover, and podcasting. Find out more at visionaryvideohub.com. And, of course, our first sponsor, Chip Magnet Salsa. Chip Magnet. Raise your snack standards. You can order at chipmagnetsalsa.com. If you order a 6-pack, enter the promo code BWTF2025 at checkout. You get 25% off your purchase. It's a great deal. Or if you're not into shopping online, you can always find it at Woodman's in La Crosse. Chip Magnet, raise your snack standards. They do a great job with salsa, always supporting bowling, and always appreciate the folks at Chip Magnet for supporting Bowling with the Fef. Well, in preparation for my interview tonight, I did something I've never done before for this channel. I transcribed part of a pickleball-based diss track. Wow. it was created on the way to a bowling tournament. So there is a, kind of a bowling connection there. But yeah, Emily Newbauer is a native Minnesotan, made the move to La Crosse, Wisconsin to attend Viterbo University. And boy, did they get a talent on the lanes with Miss Newbauer. Their women's team has her firmly entrenched now in their program, and she has done some great things on the lanes. We're calling this one Under Stadium Lights. You will not have to wait long to figure out why. But first, Emily, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Okay. Pickleball-based diss tracks. Now, I am kind of a, I don't know what you want to say, ultra conservative or anal when it comes to copyright things. And Nick sent me the song. And as much as I want to play it, I just, you never know, right? Who's running the AI outfits, exactly where it came from. So I did the work. I hope I'm accurate here. I did transcribe some of it. Summer's heating up, and so are we. Emily and Nick, the true elite. Paddles in hand, we own the court. Matt and Andy, y'all are coming up short.
Yep, you got it right.
Matt's got his numbers, his engineer mind, but he can't design a comeback inside. Andy's out here rolling ones all day, have to wrap him up and throw him away. And this is the chorus part. It's a total beatdown, no escape. We're serving up losses. Y'all can't keep pace. Might as well forfeit, save the disgrace. Emily and Nick are the kings of this place. And then the part that leads up to the name of this episode. Every rally's ours, every shot's too mean. You two are stuck in a losing routine. No matter how hard you try to fight, we'll shut you down under stadium lights. Now, Nick told me that this was kind of put together on your way to Baton Rouge for the Open Championships. And he says that you are his pickleball partner who helps him dispose of Andy Mills and his partner, former Viterbo bowler, Matt. Oh my gosh, you're going to have to help me with the last name there.
Wojrowski.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, on the drive down and back from Baton Rouge, we used some AI app to make some songs about our teammates. What did you think about that one when you heard it for the first time?
I thought it was super funny. We used ChatGPT to come up with some lyrics, and you can kind of like tell ChatGPT what to change and how to tweak it a little bit. And then we put it into a different website to create the song, and I thought it was super funny and perfect.
Okay. Have Andy and Matt heard this song just yet?
They have.
And their reaction was?
They thought it was also very funny, but they definitely tried to show us up on the court. So
Okay. All right. And what are those matches like? I mean, if bowling is kind of your first sport, right? Your love and what you do all the time, what's it like to compete with and against these folks in pickleball?
it's a lot of fun. I mean, we're very competitive. All of us are competitive, so it makes the matches a lot of fun, and overall, it just kind of gives me a break from bowling as well when I do need a break, just to give me something else to do. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's another one of those fast-growing sports. I've got a teammate who does it a lot up here, and if for people that don't know, I mean, Andy and Nick are kind of, they'll kind of rip on each other equally. So it's not like Nick took a shot at Andy, and
No.
I'm sure he'd tell you that everything is copacetic despite the diss track. And Nick said on Facebook, is it really a diss track if it's fact? I think the diss track is the diss track, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's all fun and games. So
yeah. If Not Like Us is true, it's still a diss track, right? At least that's what.
Right.
Yeah. Brent Prentice, the Cedar Vale guy, says, "My lucky scorekeeper. She may not remember what that means. Keep up the good work, Emily." Do you remember?
I do remember. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I used
Well,
to keep score for the men's tournaments when they happened at the bowling alleys in Minnesota.
okay.
So,
All right.
yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Do you know Brent pretty well?
Yeah, I bowled. I remember specifically, I can't remember how old I was. I bowled my highest game at his bowling alley,
Oh,
and I will never forget that. It was a great day.
yeah, I bet. Wow. Well, Brent has got some big things going on. He's replacing machines in his center and
Yeah.
has been posting some updates, which has been really cool to see. So, Brent, best of luck with all that. Can't wait to see the place once everything is in and up and running and all that good stuff. As we were talking about before the show, Nick Heileman is, has a long history as a pro shop operator. And he is kind of putting his attention toward his other venture, which we'll get into in a second, because you have some interest in that as well. I was asking him about what that means, because you've gone to him for bowling ball drilling for a while. He told me that he's going to continue to drill stuff for himself, teammates, and friends when needed. I'm just not going to be in the shop for any open hours. That will be Derek Kozlak and Mitch Hansen. So I asked him, well, does that mean Emily too? And he said, haha, yes. It's Mills who has to worry about the falling out of the friends category. So I'm assuming that must have been, good news for you to learn that, yes, he's making this move, but you still get, the same ball drilling that you've had, so far.
Yeah, for sure. I'm so grateful for Nick. And he knows a lot about bowling and a lot about my personal game, which makes it so much better when he drills my stuff.
Yeah. Excellent competitor too, a former Chippewa Valley Match Games champion, and all kinds of high level stuff that he bowls with Andy, even though they, kind of bark at each other a little bit. They're a great bowling pair, and certainly well known beyond lacrosse. Now, they, as I mentioned, were part of your first USBC Open Championships experience. Tell us about how that went in Baton Rouge. I'm interested, personally, because I didn't make the trip down this year.
Yeah, it was a lot of new experiences, that's for sure, and a lot of new learning. I personally didn't bowl the best, but I guess that happens to everyone.
Yep.
But just going out there with them and having them with me the whole time was awesome. It made it so much smoother. I mean, the drive there was fun, making those songs, and the experience that I got there, really showed me a lot more about bowling. I mean, seeing people from all around the country bowling there was really cool.
Yeah, it is a cool experience, and I can definitely vouch for what you said. Your first time is definitely tough sailing. I did my first one last year, and yeah, not pretty. But
Yeah.
good for you for for taking that step. Let's get into your bowling story. And as you mentioned, you're from Minnesota. How did you get started in it?
I started basically when I could throw a bowling ball. My parents were both bowlers. My dad still is. He was my coach up until I moved to lacrosse.
Oh,
So
wow.
a lot of my bowling game, I can thank to him. But yeah, he is the one that pretty much got me into bowling, coached me all throughout high school as well,
Okay.
which was really nice of him to do. Spent a lot of time with me and my sister, coaching us and, telling us what to do, how to line up at different tournaments and those sort of things.
Yeah. That's a special thing to have dad in your corner, knowing the
Yep.
ins and outs of the sport, an intimate view of your game and what you need to do and not do. But as a kid, I mean, I can tell you, because my dad was my coach, and as you're growing up, it's not always the cool thing to follow along with what mom and dad tell you. What was it like for you? Did you follow along to the letter, or did you resist some of the things?
Oh, I definitely resisted quite a bit because he was my dad, I feel like that's kind of how it goes a lot of the times. For the most part, I'd say I did listen because he knows what he's talking about and has a lot of experience. I mean, he grew up bowling, working in bowling alleys, all sorts of it. So, but there was definitely some resistance there because he was my dad. But
Yeah. How about I'm assuming you got into some sort of organized junior program. Where was it and what was it like?
so my home bowling alley when I was super little was Mermaid Lanes in Mountains View.
Okay.
And we actually used to, me and my sister would go with my dad in the mornings and set everything up. So that was always fun for us to do as little girls. But yeah, that's where my first home bowling alley was. When I got to high school, I moved to Forest Lake. So Split Rocks in Wyoming was my next home bowling alley.
Okay.
And then my senior year of high school, we moved to St. Michael, Albertville, which is where we are now in Minnesota, which is River City Extreme
Okay.
for our home bowling alley.
Gotcha. So you were living closer to Mermaid when you started getting going.
Yeah, that's where I spent the majority of my time, learning throughout youth bowling.
Okay. Great center in the cities. They've held all kinds of big tournaments. It's a bigger center than most. And tell me about the program. What kind of bowlers did you compete with and against in juniors, and what was that experience like for you?
So a lot of them actually are bowling in college now. Kayla Devine, I bowled with her a lot throughout youth bowling. She bowled for Whitewater this past year. Sadie Bettendorf bowls for Lindenwood. I bowled with her as well throughout all of youth bowling. They were in the same junior league at Mermaid. So it's always, and Lizzie Rittenauer, she's also still in college bowling. She bowls for Lindenwood as well. Bowled with her in youth bowling all throughout high school as well. So it's I think it's really fun to see all of us kind of grow up and become the bowlers that we are now.
Yeah. And those are some pretty big names that you mentioned who have got a lot of accomplishments. What was it like kind of progressing? Did you find that, you were pushing each other to be better as you were growing more and more familiar with what to do out there, making spares better, things like that?
Yeah, I think it was fun to have other people to compete against who are at the same skill level, definitely, which definitely pushed me a lot more. Having some competition is always fun for me. I think I'm very competitive.
Yeah. Where do you think that comes from?
Um, I think it just comes from me wanting to always do my best. Winning is always fun,
Okay.
but you don't always win, but it is fun and just wanting to do my best and put as much work as I can into it, giving my 100%,
Sure.
that sort of thing.
Yeah. You mentioned your dad with the bowling and coaching and all that stuff. I heard that he worked at Mermaid for a while.
He did for like 6 years, I believe. I think it was 6 or 7 years. Yeah, he worked as a mechanic there. So we would go into the back and help him, behind the lanes. So learning that stuff was cool. And it was also connected to a hotel, still is connected to a hotel. So we'd run around the hotel when we were little. But being able to grow up in that environment was cool. Learning all that stuff at a younger age also helped a lot, I think.
Sure. Yeah. Um, I also heard that there was a guy who eventually became a storm rep who kind of worked with you named Doan Mose.
Yes, Don. Oh my gosh, I love him. My dad used to help him with matchmakers when they had them at the Mermaid.
Okay.
So we would go to those matchmakers and Don would help us, coach us, show us new tricks, those sort of things. I also owe a lot to him for that because he helped us a lot.
Yeah. What was he like? And I'm talking like maybe in contrast to your dad. Obviously, everybody has their own style of coaching. But what was he like? And was it easy to, take advice from him if your dad is kind of your primary coach?
I think it was a little easier sometimes to take advice from him just because it is dad. So that little bit of resistance can kind of cause some fights. But yeah, it was really easy for me to take advice from Doan, and I really understood what he was saying, and the way that he coaches really clicked with me.
Yeah. Okay. You get to the high school, age, and like you said, there's a team at your high school. What was that dynamic like? Who was on that team? And what was your experience like in high school bowling?
So the first high school that I bowled for was Spring Lake Park.
Okay.
Kayla Devine was on that team. So I think I was on there until ninth grade. So seventh and eighth grade, I was in Spring Lake Park High School. And it was really intimidating for my first couple of years, seeing like the older bowlers, the seniors and stuff bowl, because they're a lot bigger, stronger, and can, probably bowl a little bit better than I could back then. That was a lot of fun. But then we moved, like I said earlier, to Forest Lake, where we were on a different high school team. And I made a lot of friends there. And I think my game stepped up there at that point when I moved into the high school stage, I guess. And then St. Michael Albertville. That was also a lot of fun. Bowling with my sister all throughout the years too made me competitive as well because I want to beat her. She wants to beat me. But yeah, that was.
Yeah, that's great. And I got to ask, because I have a brother. He's about, 5 years younger than I am. He was never really into competitive bowling, so we didn't have that rivalry like you described with your sister. Tell us about that. What was that like to have someone in your family to, get bragging rights against by, taking them on the lanes?
Yeah, I mean, she's my younger sister, so I'm always like, oh, I have to beat her because she's younger than me.
Yeah.
But she is just as good as I am. So she definitely pushed me when it came to competition against her. But we were also teammates, so it was also more of a team setting than it was trying to beat her individually throughout high school.
Okay. If Minnesota's high school bowling was like it was when I was in it, it was predominantly Baker system. Was that something new for you as a high school student?
Yeah, it was. I really liked that just for the fact of if, one person on the team wasn't bowling well, then we could switch the spots. Kind of, I liked working as a team, and I still love working as a team more than I do individually. It was really, I mean, it's not new to me anymore, and, I know all about it, but it was definitely intimidating being like, oh, I only get to bowl 2 frames or 1 frame, at the time. But yeah.
Yeah. Who were your high school coaches?
My dad was a coach. Josh Hodney, who runs Minnesota High School Bowling. He also I think he coaches one of the college teams now, which is cool. And then my dad at Forest Lake, my dad at St. Michael, and Dave Green, who also had a son that just graduated this past year, coached us at St. Michael Albertville.
Gotcha. What was your dad like as a high school coach? I know, we talked a little bit about how you were younger and the temptation was there to kind of resist what he was saying, in your younger years. But now it's different, right? You're part of a team. I'm sure he wants everybody to be treated as equal, but in your heart of hearts, he's still dad, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, he doesn't do a lot of coaching now just because I don't see him as much. But at my tournaments, now it's more of it's okay if you're doing bad, like I'm here for you. It's not necessarily like you have to change this or this or this. And so that's a little bit of a change now. I'm used to him coaching me all the time. And now it's Terry, which is great. But yeah, him coaching all throughout high school, it was something I'll cherish forever.
Yeah.
I loved it, even though we did have some resistance here and there, but
Yeah. So, okay. You get to this event called that we refer to as the college combine at Mermaid. And I've been at that event once before. It's pretty neat. There are sessions for parents and a tournament for the juniors, and then there's kind of a showcase of colleges. You walk around all these colleges have little tables, little booths, and you talk to the coaches and figure out, kind of get a feel for where you might end up in college and maybe even places that you'll avoid. But you go to this thing and Viterbo is there and Terry is there. And he says that one of their bowlers on Viterbo at the time, he described as was just relentless on her. And his name is Austin. Who is Austin and why did this happen?
So when I only bowled the college combine my senior year of high school.
Okay.
And when I was there, Austin was a sophomore at the time. He just graduated this past year. But it was actually a different coach as well. It was not Terry McKinney there at the time. And all throughout the day, Austin came up to me and he was asking me questions. I mean, just every single game, like almost the entire game, he was like, "How you doing? How you bowling?" and this and that. And I was like, gosh, this guy he won't leave me alone. And but Austin became one of my best friends. So we're actually bowling the 11th frame this weekend. So it'll be nice to see him again. But yeah, at first I was like, oh my gosh, what is this guy doing? But he was one of the nicest guys there. And that's why I kind of chose Viterbo, is because the people at the college combine were super nice, super welcoming, got to know me as a person.
Yeah.
So
do you remember what Austin told you about Viterbo at the time that maybe made you a little interested in finding out more?
yeah, so I knew I wanted to go into finance for school.
Okay.
And he also was going into like the business side. So he was telling me a lot about the business school at Viterbo and the smaller size of the school, which I really liked. And that's kind of what made me push to look into it more, for sure. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to look into this school. I want to go to a smaller school. And finally I looked into it and I loved the campus and the people that I met. So, and the bowling team, I wasn't so sure about the bowling team at the time.
Okay.
I didn't really know many people on the team, haven't really heard anything about it, but I definitely came to Viterbo for school before bowling, but I also wasn't going to go to a school without a bowling team because that's a big part of my life. So
Sure. When kids are growing up, are in high school age, even into college in Minnesota, the big thing is the Minnesota Junior Bowlers Tour, right? And I talked with Darren Hansen, who runs it, and I asked, did Emily bowl in your tournaments? Thinking he was going to say, oh yeah, of course. But he said you bowled in a couple of them. He wasn't sure that you bowled any more than that. And Terry said, that you were not heavily recruited, partly because you didn't bowl a lot of tournaments. Was there something that kept you from bowling more MJBTs and other tournaments like that?
I guess it was my nerves at the time, not thinking that I had the skill to do tournaments like that and win them. I know that's different now, and I have a lot more confidence in my game, in my bowling now, for sure. But that was definitely the biggest part. Was I don't know if I can compete in these tournaments. I don't know if I'm good enough to compete in these tournaments. I mean, I feel like these are really big tournaments, and I definitely have a different mindset now than I did before.
Yeah. How did that change? Was it something one of your coaches told you? Was it something else that kind of flipped that switch and made you more confident and willing to kind of put it all on the line like that?
I think I put in a lot more work my senior year of high school, and that work started to show. And I actually won Minnesota State Singles my senior year. And I think from that point on, I was like, okay, like I can really do this. Like I'm a good bowler, I have that skill. And then when I went into my first year of college and making the all tournament team at tournaments and going to nationals, like that really showed me, like, Emily, you can do this. You got this.
Yeah. Yeah. Terry happens to be on with us live and says, we like Austin.
We do like Austin.
Yeah. No, he apparently played a pretty big role in convincing you to go to Viterbo, which obviously is great for Terry. He told me that, your dad, of course, as you mentioned, a pretty good coach and bowler, and that he thinks that you were an excellent student. Dad would say this is what you should do, and that you would do it. So obviously, at some point, you kind of broke free from that, temptation to push him away, and really
Yep.
get in tune with what he was trying to tell you. So Terry said his goal was to not really mess that up while trying to improve it, as meaning your physical game. And he said, I think probably the biggest improvement came from consistent practice, as you mentioned, and better competition, because, as you said, you're very competitive. So you had higher goals, better people to beat, he said, I guess. And he also mentioned that you spent a lot of time in the weight room working out, which you both kind of feel helped your game because you were just stronger. Tell us about that. I mean, were you kind of a gym rat before getting to Viterbo, or was that something you kind of picked up at college?
Yeah, I definitely was not a gym rat before, like at all. I really did not want anything to do with it. But once we got a personal trainer in the gym at school at Viterbo, I got into it more, and I definitely noticed a big change in my game. I
Okay.
mean, like just gaining that extra strength as a smaller person, it really helped my game, really allowed me to get more power with my ball and, better ball speed, all that sort of thing. Um, and I noticed a huge change in it. And so I stuck with it. I was like, I don't know if this is going to do anything with my game, but I noticed a huge change and something I'll definitely stick with for a long time.
Yeah. Were there any particular exercises that you feel really translate well to bowling? Because I'm sure a lot of us who maybe don't go to the gym as much as they should are interested to know.
Um, I think anything to do with your legs, because your legs have a huge part of your game. I mean, that's where your ball speed comes from, your footwork, all of that. But I think the biggest part of working out as a bowler is to get those strong legs.
Yeah. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Um, okay, so you're kind of getting the feel for college and meeting a new team, as you said, for the first time. How was that process of kind of getting used to not only being away from home, but also not only coexisting with girls you don't know, but succeeding with them and bettering yourself and all that?
hmm I was super nervous when I first came to college, like extremely nervous, had a lot of anxiety. But once I got to know the team, we became like family. And I think that's a really important part to a team is not only like getting along on the lanes and being teammates with each other, but also getting along like off of the lanes and spending time with them and getting to know them personally. And I think that makes a really good team, not necessarily just the scores you put up, but just the connection that you have with the people on the team. And once I found that connection, I mean, that really also helped my game because I knew I had people who are standing behind me the whole time, pushing me, cheering for me, wishing me the best, those sort of things.
Yeah. One kind of builds on the other, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So freshman year, you end up making the Intercollegiate Singles Championship. And you did fall short, lost to the eventual champion, which we'll get to, but walk us through what it took to make it and to make it in your freshman year, which I can't imagine is done all that often, right?
Probably not. At sectionals, I knew I was bowling very well. Early in the day, I had no idea where I was. Like I was pretty far up there in the standings, in the top. I think they took the top 6 or 7 girls for nationals from our squad, in Illinois. And I wasn't looking at the standings, just kind of doing my own thing, keeping my head on my shoulders. Towards the end, the 5th or 6th game, I noticed, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm number 2 right now. That means I'm going to nationals, but I have to keep it up. And that definitely made me nervous. But having Terry there was also a really good help, just like with ball changes, where I should move on the lane and that sort of thing. He's an amazing coach, and that definitely helped me make it to nationals my freshman year.
Yeah. What does he tell you in the heat of the moment? And I happen to have some video of you too, because you were at the Stout Open this last year. But when he's coaching you, what's he like? Maybe in comparison to your other coaches you've had.
It's always a conversation that we have, something gives me a couple of ideas that I can try, and I trust him with that because he knows my equipment and what it's going to do, and the lane patterns and those sort of things. But it's always a conversation of like, what are you comfortable with doing? And I kind of go from there. And once I throw a shot, we talk about it, what I could have done better. It's not like every shot that we're like, oh my gosh, you need to change this and that, because a lot of them are really good. But it's really nice to have those conversations with him in the tournaments, because it kind of also keeps my head on my shoulders so that I'm staying focused. And yeah,
thinking about the right things. He does admit, he's here live, that you were quiet for at least the first week of school. Do you think he played a role in helping to kind of get you out of your shell?
Yeah, I think the bowling team in general, just because there are people who have the same interests that I do. And I'm like, oh, like there's not a lot of people, at, I would say at college that are on the bowling team, because I think, football teams or basketball teams are a lot bigger. Bowling isn't the biggest thing at a college or a school. So having those people around and spending a lot of time with them really helped after at least that first week of school.
Sure. So you make ISCs, right? You have that good performance at sectionals, you're in. So now Terry said he's got this extra month that he has to work with you, on the way to ISCs, which I believe was in Kentucky that year.
Yes, it was.
Okay. So it was in Kentucky. So, he tells me that we kind of realized that short, targeted practices were better. And we came up with different drills and we called them the Emmy game. And what he says this consists of is you have to write down where you stand, where you slide, what you're aiming for, what you actually hit, where the ball hits at the tracers, the markers down lane, where it hits the pocket and goes through the back end of the pin deck. And she hates that. It does sound like a lot. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's a lot to think about. How good were you at the Emmy game?
At first, I was horrible at it. And I think it's really funny that he calls it the Emmy game. But at the beginning, I was like, how am I supposed to keep track of all of that when I throw a shot, But after doing it a lot, it became a lot easier. And it's something that I do at practice every time now.
Yeah. Do you think, and he had mentioned, you kind of have to post your shot to be able to, have the line of sight to see all those things and interpret all those things. Do you think that helps with your balance or things like that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because if I am not balanced and I fall out of my shot, I cannot see where I'm throwing the ball or where it goes over, so that definitely helped me post my shot, which is something that I used to fall out of quite often, I think. But
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, the lower half is kind of where the power comes from. Posting your shot helps with that. So, that's good stuff. And then you get to Kentucky. You compete in the Intercollegiate Singles Championship. What was that like?
Oh, it was so scary at first because you have all these really, really good bowlers like that you're surrounded with, and all of them are so talented. And I mean, you watch all those girls bowl and you're like, oh my gosh, like she throws the ball really good. And then I had to like remind myself, like, I'm here for a reason.
Yeah.
Like I also made it and I'm just as good as any of these girls. So at first it was really nerve-wracking, but after I did my practice session and got going the first day, I did very well. I made the I think they took the top 6 for a bye the first match, which I made, so I didn't have to bowl the first match. And then winning my second match, I really struggled with my spares the second match in Kentucky, but I made it, which made me feel extremely good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then came that match, as I mentioned, against the eventual champion. Terry made it sound like she just really, you kind of ran into a buzzsaw with her. She was really on her game.
oh
What
yeah.
did you see? What do you remember in that match?
I remember I think I was up because it was a 3-game match. I was up after the first 2, and we were going back and forth. I think I had the front 4 strikes. She had the front 3, and she like had I think 9 or 10 strikes in her game, and I think I still had a 200 game that game. So I wasn't mad at how I bowled, but definitely there was not much I could do because Sarah bowled extremely well.
Yeah. And sometimes that happens. I mean, a lot of it has to do with who you're up against and how are they bowling? How are they responding to the changes in the conditions? And, to be in that top 6, gosh, yeah, you can't, you can't be upset about that, because that's an experience that not a lot of us are going to have in all 4 years, let alone your
Right.
freshman year. Do you think there's anything from that particular tournament that you were able to apply, moving forward into your sophomore year?
Yeah, I was, going into sophomore year, I was like, okay, like again, I have the skills to do this. Like I can win tournaments, I can make it there. I'm a good bowler, that sort of thing. Um, and getting to nationals, getting to nationals was an accomplishment in itself, I think. And hopefully I can make it there again. That's my plan, is trying to get there again. But I think just making it there and then being in the top 6 after the qualifying games was really fun for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's a tremendous accomplishment. And then this past season, as a sophomore, you were pacing most all the women in the nation in average at tier 1s, and really hanging with most of them at the powerhouse programs through the entire season when it came to average. Did something change for you that led you to really come out of the gate, guns a-blazing, and be able to just consistently bowl so well at these tournaments?
I think being consistent with my practice and being in the gym consistently really helped. I mean, when we're bowling 4 or 5 times a week for practice, anyway. I mean, it did come out to 6 times a week when we had tournaments on the weekends. But bowling that much really helped my game and just staying focused and pushing myself at practice and doing, the hard drills, going back to the basics, even doing like the 1-steps and the foul lines and those sort of things really helped. I think focusing on like the things I needed to get better, like in my own personal game, really looking into my form and my timing and all that really helped. And Terry did a lot for me this past year, working with me personally at our one-on-ones. We have one-on-ones before practice on Mondays and Wednesdays that you can sign up for. So putting in even hours outside of our scheduled practice was something I did a lot last year.
Yeah. You mentioned, we both did early on, that Nick Heileman became your bowling ball driller when, after you got to lacrosse. And when I asked him about you, he said that, he's, before ever seeing you on the lanes, he knew you from coming into the shop. He called you a genuinely good person. And he said that's what stuck out to him immediately. He said you were gracious, thankful, and polite, which stood out. It's not that the majority of the other college bowlers that come through aren't that way too, but he said with you, it was kind of a step above. And he said that it wasn't until your sophomore year that he actually saw you bowl, and he said he was blown away. He said, first, just watching your talent at practice, then your hard work, as you mentioned, always coming in earlier, staying after, and then just watching your results from college tournaments, as you were nothing short of amazing. That's high praise from someone who has, as he said, has seen them come and go. He knows what it's
Yeah.
like to compete out there at a high level. Tell me what you think about those thoughts from him, and what he's done on the pro shop side, to help you stay competitive and winning.
Yeah, I was really skeptical at first because I had all of my stuff drilled by Greg at A to Z Pro Shop in Mounds View my entire life. And coming to lacrosse, I was like, okay, well, I do have to find someone else that can drill my stuff because I am 3 hours away, and it's not like I can just drive to the bowling alley and get one of my balls drilled,
Yeah.
But then meeting Nick and the stuff that he has taught me, the education that I've learned from him about bowling, just in general, has definitely helped me improve my game a lot. And I mean, just having him at Open Championships in Baton Rouge was really helpful because he's really insightful when it comes to, how to lay out a bowling ball or, and he knows my personal stuff too. So he knows what bowling balls are drilled, what way, what layouts are on those. So when I get a new one, he's always like, oh, I have an idea. I think this would work good. And usually it does.
Yeah. He said he asked you to come bowl the OCs and even work with him at his new venture, which is called Raise the Wolf Pet Resort, for the same reason. He said you're an amazing person that he wants to be surrounded by, both on and off the lanes. Getting Raise the Wolf Pet Resort going, there's a lot that changes day by day as far as the schedule. And he said, as expected, you're always happy to accommodate whatever they need. Coming in early, staying late, work an extra shift. Don't come in because it's a slow day. Whatever the group needs, bowling or work, you are happy to help. And we discussed it earlier before we came on live here. You've had several dogs at home, and you're a self-proclaimed dog person. So that must have been a pretty natural fit working over there, huh?
Yes, I was so excited when he asked me to work for him. I mean, I love dogs, and he would even bring some dogs into the pro shop with him during the day when he was working on stuff. And he'd always text me and be like, Emily, you have to come and see this new dog I have. And I was like, okay, I'll be there a little early to come say hi. And then he asked me to work at Raise the Wolf, and I was super excited to work there and absolutely love it there.
Yeah. What's it like? I mean, I picture, I've never, been to a pet resort. We have cats, and unfortunately our house is their resort. But what's the atmosphere like? How does it compare to maybe a humane association or another shelter that people might see dogs at?
I think that the people that we have working there are, myself included, just love the dogs and care for them deeply. So it's a lot of fun, being able to play with them throughout the day and, take care of them and see them grow too. I mean, we have puppies that come in, and then, in a few months it's like they're like huge, and you're like, oh my gosh, like you were like this tiny little puppy a few months ago, and now you're like this huge dog. So I mean, just watching the dogs grow is really fun, and playing with them and spending time with them all day is like something I really enjoy.
Yeah, I bet. I had a couple different people tell me that your godfather is somebody that I've come to know through this, Tom Jones from Minnesota. And I asked him about you and your progress and all that. He told me that you are one of the sweetest kids he knows. He says you're very focused, sets your mind to do something, and you will do it. He says you're very competitive in a good way, going about your business and still treating people with respect, but wants to kick their ass. He said, you're a good listener. We'll take your advice and at least try it, and that you've always been athletic, and your dad, Bob, is a very good bowler himself and was your coach in high school. He said he has been following your collegiate career and that he's very proud of what you've accomplished so far and know that you will do more, especially being coached by Terry, who he says will keep you level-headed and focused. He said that you guys never worked on your game together, but to have his support from out of town, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel so loved and valued. Oh my gosh. I have a lot of people who watch me that, I don't necessarily see or get to spend time with as much anymore. But having that support from, my family and Tom is something I'm really grateful for.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Earlier this year, you went out and bowled the PWBA Anniversary Open at Schwabenon. Tell us about that decision to bowl it, and what was the experience like for you to compete with the best in the world?
It was really cool. I mean, bowling with people that I've only seen like on a screen, bowling like right next to them and competing with them, I think was super cool. I mean, a little nerve-wracking because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I'm bowling with them. But super cool in general. I mean, I bowled with Brianna Cote, Kayla Smith, for qualifying, and just watching them and how they post their shots and how they kind of keep their heads on their shoulders during tournaments helped me see a lot and really opened my eyes. And, just watching everyone around me and learning those different things, watching people and where they're throwing on the lane and, testing out, oh, can I throw there too? And, I think that's a big part of bowling tournaments is watching where other people are throwing, especially people who throw it similar to you. So that was one of my little tricks, was watching other people bowl during that tournament and kind of trying the same thing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Kayla's a lefty, so you don't have that
Yeah.
to look at, but she made an incredible run at that tournament, and
Yes, she did.
saw her on the show and all that good stuff. But yeah, to bowl with Brianna and people who have been out there for a while has got to be pretty cool. I believe you finished about 58th, and I don't want people to to judge that, because there are a lot of big names that finish right around that group. To kind of have that kind of, those small victories, those successes in your first PWBA tournament, does that kind of will you to want to bowl more?
Yeah, I mean, at first, after I finished, I was a little upset and, thinking that I was 58th, kind of expecting myself to be higher up. But after taking a step back and realizing like this is one of my first, PWBA tournaments, and it was more so for the experience of one. I bowled the Queens a couple of years ago, but I got back into looking into more PWBA tournaments and did this one. So it was more so for the experience, and I bowled well. I think I threw the ball good. Didn't necessarily carry the best, but I had a great time and learned a lot.
Yeah.
So.
And if I'm not mistaken, you were, throwing bowling balls from a different manufacturer this time than you had been, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was throwing Brunswick. I threw my Effect Tour a lot, which I really liked how that ball rolled for a lot of the time, along with my Stealth Mode, my Hazmat Pearl, a lot of new equipment that I'm getting used to. So
yeah, for sure. You mentioned the 11th Frame Open. It's in Dubuque this weekend. You're on first shift, 9 a.m. Saturdays. This is a sold-out tournament. Defending champion Cam Crowe is coming back to defend his title. I did ask the tournament director, Joe Engelkis, about female finishers in this tournament. So here's what he sent me. He sent this list of highest female finisher year by year, and you can see it there. The one that I have highlighted, Erin McCarthy, who finished 8th in 2022, he said was the top female performance by far. obviously everybody wants to come into a tournament like this and win. That's just simply for context. But what are your expectations out there as far as an event like this?
I would like myself just to be able to throw the ball good. I mean, you're not always going to throw it good and get the score that you want, which is something that I have definitely learned over the years, is that even if you throw it good, you might not score as good. So just throwing it my best and giving my best in general, my 100% is really my goal for every tournament that I bowl.
Yeah. Okay. Um, we know that there are some PWBA regionals coming up, some even in Illinois, which is relatively close when you talk about, the regional tour and things like that. Do you see yourself competing in any of them?
Yes, for sure. I'm going to compete in maybe the one at the end of September. I believe it's September 28th, or I could have the date wrong, but the one in Illinois for sure, and there's also one in Minnesota at Cedarville. So
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's great. So this past November, your sister, as you mentioned, you guys bowled against each other as young people. She signed a national letter of intent to bowl as your teammate at Viterbo. Tell me what you think about that. I mean, has she taken advice from you? Have you talked about the school? And what's it like to know that your sister's going to be your teammate?
I'm so excited to bowl with her again and be able to spend all the time in the world with her. We're so close. So having her on the team, I mean, I think we work together very well when it comes to bowling, being able to like converse with each other about changes that we need to make, or if we see someone or each other doing something wrong, being able to have a conversation about that and just pushing each other to do good. And I'm excited to watch her bowl these tournaments and get the same experience that I did, because I know she's going to be a little bit nervous coming in, but watching her grow, I think she's going to really grow a lot when it comes to college bowling.
Yeah, and she also gets to work with Terry, so great things there too, right?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, cool. All right, so we know what the immediate future holds for you. You're planning on bowling regionals and bowling again at Viterbo. Where do you see this thing going? Do you have more tour experience in your sights? Do you hope to become a full-time touring pro at some point? Are there other plans?
I would like to, over the next 2 years while I'm still in college, to do some more tour events, just to get more of that experience and learning in. And then maybe after I'm graduated, try the full tour and pro, kind of lifestyle and see where that takes me. Because I've realized over at least the past 2 years in college and the tournaments that I've bowled that I can do it. And I have more confidence built up now for sure. So I really want to try that out after I graduate.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's great. And best of luck to you as you go on with that. If you've seen the show before, you know that I can't let it end without this.
Let's go off the sheet. Challenge a bowler to appear on a future episode.
I would like to challenge Will Madison.
I would say Diana Zavulova.
The better Russo, Lauren Russo.
We're looking for anyone who has a passion for the sport and a unique story to tell.
All right, so those are the parameters, Emily Newbauer. Who would you like to challenge to be on a future episode of Bowling with the Fef?
I would like to challenge my sister, Alyssa Newbauer, to come on a future show.
Okay. And what are we going to see and hear and experience with her coming on?
I think that she'll say, a lot of the same things that I did, have a really similar view on things and story. I mean, obviously, because we grew up together, same household, that kind of thing. But just seeing how she's going to grow in the next couple of years, because college bowling is so much different than high school bowling. I think that she'll have a lot to say.
Yeah, and it's a great experience. I'm sure you'd tell her the same. But yeah, Alyssa, if you have the time and are willing, we'd love to have you here. You can email me at bowlingwiththefef@yahoo.com to make that happen, or come find me on Facebook. We do have a Facebook group for Bowling with the Fef. And yeah, it'd be a thrill to have you on as well. And then I get to, hit up Emily for some for some information on you and put that at the bottom of the screen. So that's always fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's just kind of a coincidence, but our next broadcast isn't going to be till August 28th. No show next week. I've got some family stuff to keep me occupied. But then we have another Minnesotan coming on, and someone you might have heard of, Zach Ludemer, who you may know as ZVL Bowling, has really had this wildly popular YouTube channel and social media pages, TikTok, all the things. He was a competitive bowler growing up in Minnesota as well. We kind of tag teamed pretty much the entire Saturday of bowling competition at Alan Briley's Golf and Bowl 2025 Invitational at Owatonna, Minnesota early this month. Spare time there happens to be his home center. Zach will come on. We'll talk about content creation. We'll talk about, of course, bowling and his history in the sport in our season 6 premiere on Thursday, August 28th. 7 p.m. Central. Hope everyone will be here to check that out live or on replay. Emily, it has been a pleasure getting to know you and your bowling story, continued success on the lanes, both in college and in the PWBA regionals and beyond.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
You bet. And thanks to all of you for tuning in. Always appreciated. Have a great couple weeks. We'll see you again on the 28th.
Thank you for watching Bowling with the Feff. Pound the like button and subscribe button. It's the easiest way to support the channel, and it's free. Bowling with the Feff is brought to you by Chip Magnet. Raise your snack standards.
Jerry's Score More Bowling Supply inside Wagner's Lane. So Eau Claire, Wisconsin area's leader in bowling products and services since 1988. And Visionary Video Hub. Video with impact.
Email bowlingwiththefeff@yahoo.com with questions or to appear on the show. You can also reach out on your favorite social media platform.